I'm here in WhistlinDiesel's garage, and today we're going to be breaking down and ranking the most epic builds that you've seen on the channel.
It's working so good!
For the last few years, I've been the design lead here at WhistlinDiesel, helping to bring Cody's ultra imaginative and extreme ideas into life. My typical workday is designing and building the most custom things imaginable. And sometimes I get to help destroy things. We're gonna rank 5 builds today and give them an overall score based on the categories of difficulty, creativity, and danger. First up on the list is the 18 turbo Cumins truck. They actually all work. Some of them don't spin all the time, like the really big one in the front. And we plumbed it in a way so that worst case scenario, if the 17 on top don't do anything at all except act as a big air intake, it would still drive like it did before. We have to combine all 17 into one pipe that goes into the original turbo. This was pretty fun because we had like tons of wonky pipes. Like this one has a reducer and it goes into a 90, and we stubbed in these 2 little ones. Normally the engine would provide oil pressure and a spot to drain the oil to, but this was just too much oil, so we had to put a whole separate system in the bumper here. Look at all of these lines. We had to run the pressure to every turbo and the drain down into this tank. I had to weld on all those bungs. It's really cool, you get to watch it run. We'll go turn the oil pump on. And if we look down in there, coolest part, you can see them draining every single one. It was really laggy to begin with, so what we found out is by blocking off a lot of this exhaust, we raised the boost pressure of the whole system, and it actually worked.
It's working so good! I'm to the floor! What is this?
All right, let's rate it. For difficulty, I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. It took a lot of metal fabrication and the oiling system was a little complicated, but it's all pretty well-known stuff. Creativity, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. People are obsessed with putting as many turbos as they can on vehicles, and Cody had wanted to push it to the limit for a long time. For danger, it only gets a 3 out of 10. The most dangerous part is just not being able to see out of the windshield very good. This is a 1972 Chieftain Mark 11 main battle tank. Cody surprised Seth and us with a trip to the UK to go buy a surprise vehicle.
No, why would I do that? You can literally go 5-6 hours and go drive them.
No way. Real life gypsies.
After we got back here, we started filming with it, and we quickly figured out that tanks break down a lot. Should we make sure it's not on fire?
Super overheated.
Brakes. Good. Not good. Also crap. And then after those first few videos, we decided to take it up a notch and make it remote control. I had never coded before, so it was like the worst possible project to dive into. Because if anything goes wrong, it's going to like just go crazy and do whatever it wants, right? Finishing up the last little bit of computer work on the RC tank here, and I'll show you what I got. So this is the throttle. Here's the brake. Left turn. Right turn. Reverse. This is the kill switch. Shift up button for 250 milliseconds. We'll go through the process of shifting up. This was the prototype. I'm working on a new version that's a lot more complicated than this, that will actually turn the turret and everything. I just love like the nostalgia of it. So we had like a Milwaukee battery plugged into it. It's really basic, but it worked super good. There was even a couple little safety features, like if this went dead or lost signal even, there was a program that would run to apply full brake and sound the horn. Since air was so critical for braking and steering, I wanted to have a backup, not just relying on the electric motors. So I had a nitrogen tank in the tank that was set at a pressure just below what these do. And that just made a redundant system so that if these ever failed, you could still stop the tank. Firing! The core is really tough, but the tins, like the side armor and everything, it bends pretty easily. So I was like full-time repairing every single thin piece of metal on this thing for like 2 months. So I redesigned all the fenders. This is all 1/4-inch steel, which is a little thicker than factory. And then I had to bend back these armor side panels like 10 times because they kept getting just banged up. But the cool part is now that we have all this modeled in the computer, we can just order new parts for it. It was the biggest paint job I ever took on, and it was actually like really challenging. Pretty crazy, huh? In order to get the tank shipped to America, they have a bunch of rules. Like they had to cut the whole back of the chamber off, but it was actually a huge problem just for like functionality because it needs this weight so that you can crank the barrel up and down. So I literally lowered it in and brought it up in here and welded it back on. Now they're not like the most structural welds in the world, but at least they look good, right? You think they look good? Come on. Rating the tank, I'm gonna give it a difficulty of 9 out of 10. I'm kind of combining the painting and the RC project there to give it a 9. Both of them really pushed my skills at the time. For creativity, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Who doesn't want to drive a full-size main battle tank with a remote control? It is the funnest thing ever. And for danger, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10, mostly because it's 130,000 pounds, it goes 40 miles an hour, and everything on it is sharp and dangerous. The next build is one of the most iconic on YouTube, none other than the jet engine merry-go-round. I love that concept because you can tell anybody that name and they instantly picture it. They're like, you can't do that. Yes, you can. Starting out with the foundation, we poured like 2 trucks worth of concrete into a big hole with rebar and a school bus axle as the spinny part.
Got her full of oil.
The actual merry-go-round was pretty straightforward. It's just a big circle made out of structural iron, skinned with steel plates. It's gonna stay pretty well balanced across the whole circle until you put a jet engine on one side. So we had to put a weight box on the other, and I gotta say this worked really good.
Watch out, guys.
Tyler, would you like to play on it?
No, the jet engine did spontaneously remove itself from the merry-go-round.
Get out! Get out! The engine's coming off!
And that's the fine line we walk here when we build stuff, because we want chaos and unexpected things to happen. And if we just built everything perfect every time, nothing fun would happen. Ranking the jet engine merry-go-round. For difficulty, it gets a 9 out of 10. For creativity, this gets a 9.75. Taking 2 things we all know, one extreme and one innocent, and combining them into just a chaotic disaster is genius. And for danger, it also gets a 9.5. So I wrote on this thing a little bit. But Cody stayed on it for a long time.
He's turning it back on!
And the run after that, something went wrong and it just stuck at full throttle and we couldn't shut it off.
I killed on everything. It was eating fuel.
It was eating its own fuel. Up next is one of my all-time favorites here, the Tesla on 10-foot tall wheels. If I remember right, Elon Musk actually liked one of the pictures of the build on Twitter, which is kind of a big deal. So we started out with a bone stock Tesla Model 3 and started designing the wheels pretty much as big as we could go without them hitting the hubs of the other wheel. If you've ever built anything round out of metal, you know how hard it can be, because you would totally notice a oblong wheel because it would bounce up and down. What I did is I built the first wheel by hand and made it super precise. And then I built the other 3 on top of that one by clamping them all to it. Doing it that way made sure that all 4 were exactly the same size and shape. This was after we took the big missiles off of Monstermax, and I actually used the pipe from the missiles because it was the perfect size to make the hubs for the wheels. Another little detail was the front wheels were spaced out quite a bit more than the rear for 2 reasons. That lets you steer it, and also if you steered it too far, the wheels would hit each other instead of the front wheels digging into the car super hard. The wheels themselves were a big job, but that was only about half of the work because I had to make tow hooks that were strong enough to lift the whole car on the front and back. Oh, that was Brady's phone. Everything's falling. Actually rolled the car down from the top of the hill and the wheels held up. The control arms on the car broke, but the wheels are still good. We still have them. Hey, I was thinking since we didn't really wreck this car, I could buy it off you.
Oh, you can just have it.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, no way.
Oh, yeah, just 1 minute.
Oh, whoops. Ranking the Tesla wheels, I'm gonna give the difficulty score an 8 out of 10. Creativity, 9.5. I mean, it's hard to have a more original idea than that. For danger, it only gets a 7.5, mostly because Teslas are really safe, even if you're 5 feet in the air or upside down. Last but not least is Monstermax. This truck was built at a few different fab shops across the country, and they did a super good job with like the main structure of everything. But we're gonna go over what I've done to it specifically as we finish up the build. One of the first things I did on this truck was upgrade the braking system. And check this out. This is an air disc brake system off of a modern semi, and it's like the best technology for braking that you can get right now.
Perfect.
Yeah, you push that in.
Okay. Now we are air brakes. Yep. That's incredible. You plumbed it into stock pedal?
Yeah.
It's so much better than like
That is awesome.
So
what it
classy.
used to be. That's 100 times the previous braking power.
I also put on the new missiles, which are actually fuel tanks. Look out.
All right.
This is all aluminum welded, so it's super tough. And the nose cone is plastic, and it actually threads on. So if you break one, you can like thread it off and put a new one on. That was a lot of work. The third engine here, the jet engine, is actually functional and it works really good. These older jet engines aren't as complicated as you might think to just get them running. It's kind of like an old two-stroke engine. If you just give it like fuel and spark, it's gonna run. The only thing I've done to the cab here is put in this center console. And it holds all of our gauges and switches and everything. The throttle for the jet engine. Pretty cool. Ranking Monstermax. This is a difficult one because it means so much to the channel, it means so much to Cody. It was his first truck, but rules are rules, we gotta rank it. Difficulty, it gets an 8. It's at least 3 times heavier and a lot bigger than any other monster truck. And it's not just built for display, it's built to be abused. The tie rods alone weigh like 800 pounds. Creativity. This is a tough one. And y'all are gonna say I'm way off base here, but it only gets a 5. Even though it is an extremely unique and custom build, the concept itself is just big truck. Come on. I'm just trying to be honest with my judging system here, even though I make all the rules and am the judge. And for danger, it also only gets a 6. On the inside, there is a roll cage and a camera system to see what the tires are about to absolutely decimate. Let's recap it. At number 5 with 57%, is the turbo truck. Number 4 at 63 is Monstermax. Number 3 at 80 is the Tesla wheels. Number 2 at 87 is the tank. And number 1 with a whopping 94 out of 100 is the jet engine merry-go-round.
Whoa! Whoa!
It wouldn't stop. It wouldn't stop. We're good. Dude, the weight basket. The weights are just hanging in there.